Good day, folks. Welcome to Week 3 Financial Statement Analysis, Intersession 2021. The intent of this is to give you an overview of what you should be working on this week, key dates, and other important information. What should you be working on? Well, Application Project 2 is due January 21st. You should have finished Module 4, 5, and 6. 7 and 8 you're going to need to complete so you can do Application Project 3. And finally, presentations and discussions. Application Project 1, which you completed and I graded. Overall, I think they were all exceptionally, for the most part, all very well done. The best group overall that I've seen since I've been doing this. I think the use of audio and video, for those of you who used it, really made the project come alive in my mind, and it let me see that you really knew what you were talking about. You demonstrated the knowledge of the company. You were able to articulate what you did. And I think it just added so much more than just words in a slide could do. So those that did it, thank you. And going forward, the audio video is going to be standard requirement. What else? Don't just read your slides. Make it conversational when you do it. Some of the slides were a little crowded. But think about them. Better to use an extra slide or two and then to talk about it. You can communicate it better. But it is a learning experience as to how we add in audio video. There's multiple ways, and some folks did struggle in getting stuff up, and that's all right. We're learning. Give yourself time. You can do this in PowerPoint. You can record a narration. You could do it in Zoom, which is an interesting way of doing it. A couple people did that. Or use some other software. There's a lot of free ones out there. I use something called Camtasia, but if you use something else and it's good, please do let me know. Sometimes as we're learning, Canvas doesn't always accept certain large items. So sometimes sharing can be with the file upload, as you tried. Share it in Google Drive is always an easy way. Or just to put it up on YouTube, like I've done with these. We know that it generally, if you put it on YouTube and you give me the link to YouTube, it will work. And it's only a step more. But again, not a bad skill to develop in yourself of how to do this communication. Application Project 2, it's worth 16 points, 16% of your grade. So it's a lot. Again, it's due no later than 11:59 on January 21st. You are going to be working with the same company you started on. Do watch the instructional video before starting. The only thing you'll note might be a date or two that's off, but the correct date is January 21st. You're going to need to make decisions about what level of detail should be in summary financial statements. You've got to look at it and determine what's really useful on that. If we got a lot of numbers that are very small or not consistent, you want to tighten it up so that we can really focus in. As you're doing it, avoid generalities and platitudes. Don't give me definitions. Don't. I know what the definition is. Okay. Don't state the obvious. Don't make a general conclusion. Okay, so we want to go back. What does it say? What does it mean? Why is it important? So think about those as you're going along on Application Project 2. Commenting on net income is not as valuable as looking at specific line items. Net income changed for a reason. Okay, you don't want to put a lot of gobbledygook generalities there. Be specific. We've got the cause and effect. Data should be meaningfully rounded. Don't put all these decimals out there. They don't tell us anything. And you don't need all the zeros. If you have a column that has 6 zeros, we'll just reduce it and label it. Labeling in that should be important. Don't forget that data should be shown from oldest to newest, left to right. Because when we go you can look at trends. Now you're going to be looking at trends now, and you're going to look for variation, and you're going to look for relationships. Okay? And if you don't do that, you can't see a trend if it's not going in the time frame. Sometimes you make a comment, but it's really a question. Okay? Now, this is one thing that I'm going to be very tough on as we go forward in this, is if you make a statement and it's really a question, you got to go deeper and understand it and explain it. Okay? This is how things are tied together. Everything is related. You want to be specific. In your volume drivers, you have some very specific metrics. Okay? You know what a volume is, you know what a rate is. So if companies are going to be growing and you want to understand the company, you need to understand that and then what the related cost structure is from that. And see if it has really got to make some sense on this. And when you're looking at liquidity, look at it within the context of COVID-19. We've seen an awful lot of that in the airline business. We see cash burns. For those of you that were on the call on Friday, we saw how much American was burning. So look at it within the context of COVID-19 where things may have stopped. Fiscal year, some of you might have companies, including Dick's, that are ready to issue their full year 2020 statements shortly. So they may be a calendar year end or a January year end, and they have produced interim financial statements, say for 9 months. So if your company has a fiscal year ending after July 31st, you can use those statements as is, no adjustments needed. However, if you have a company whose fiscal year ends after that, you need to compute the full year 20 results. So let's just talk on this. We have a company who has a year end of 12/31, and they have produced financials, giving you information through the through the 10Q, which is the quarterly report, and in their financials, you need to compute a full year 20. So if you have 9-month income statement, you can divide each line by 9 and multiply by 12 to get an annualized result. You could then use that. Okay? Assume that the latest balance sheet remains the same. So if you have a company whose year end is 12/31/20 and you have a 9/30, make the assumption that they're the same. Whenever you're making assumptions, and assumptions are all right when we get into financial statement analysis, is to share what that assumption is. So in the case of the balance sheet, you could say, well, I assumed that the 9/30 balance sheet was 12/30. Okay. For the cash flow statement, you can annualize the cash flow from operations. Consider financing an event. You can leave them alone, or you can adjust based on assumptions that you think are meaningful based on the company itself. Okay. Application project 2, we do want a video or audio or video, voice or video discussion. Clarity of slides. Make sure don't throw a lot on it. Better to use an extra slide or two, or narrative. Use your voice to explain some of the detail. Demonstrate critical thinking. How are things tied together? And I'm going to be looking for some of that as we go through this at that point. Just a heads up on Project 3. They will not be in person as previously stated. They'll be recorded as 1 and 2. If you are in the Student Managed Investment Fund, you can present your project to SMIF in real time as opposed to recording. If you want to do that, please let me know as soon as possible so we can put you on the calendar. SMIF is meeting during the break. We're meeting on Monday and Wednesdays, so you have plenty of opportunity to come and do your presentation whenever you'd like. The current events presentation, making reality, seeing what we are talking about and how it connects to what's happening today, or how today what we're talking about relates to the topic that we're learning about. The presentation counts for 10 points, and you need to participate in 4 other presentations other than your own, and that's worth 8. So that's a total of 18 points. I'm, as many of you know, I'm doing 3 Intersession classes. Not necessarily my best decision, but hey, you work through these things and you learn. But you can attend any presentation on this attached list. And what you have here is this coming up week: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And as you can see, I've laid out each one. There are some really good discussions that are going to be held here. And you can see what I've done. That the first column right over here is the day and the time, and they start from AM to PM. Here's the topic that's going to be discussed. Here is the class that the person is in. So this is in 315. This is a 315. This one is for all. Now, NBT Bank is doing a real lifetime session. And if you are a senior and you are graduating, I would encourage you to come to the presentation if you don't have a job. They're going to be talking about the bank, career path. We have a number of alumni there. If you're a junior and you would like to learn more how banks work, please come. They may have an internship program. We have found that sometimes these discussions essentially become interviews because they are a discussion based. So feel free to join any one of these as we're going. Some of them are from financial statement analysis, introduction to finance, and organizational behavior. And they are discussions, and the one we had on Friday we all learned from. What I've done is I've set up one Zoom, so you can always link in at any of them times, and you can just click here to join the presentation. If you have any questions, do please reach out. If you have anything that isn't making sense to you, you didn't understand my comments, reach out. I will respond fairly quickly, I believe, and we'll go from there. So with that, I wish everybody a successful week.